All right. Kenny Porter, with music to my ears, says he is again that they are open to a fight with Terence Crawford and for Bob Arum, since Bob Arum said that they would consider Shawn Porter for a fight with Terence Crawford, to call him so they can make that fight happen. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel, subscribers. If you are not subscribed, please subscribe and hit the bell icon. Also, I want to say thank you so much to the new channel members. You guys can join the channel. It's down here on the button next to the subscribe button. Definitely the tier with the OG Boxing Talk is, man, I think you're going to really enjoy. We're going to answer your questions straight off the cuff during OG Boxing Talk every Sunday morning, 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. Every Sunday morning, 8 a.m. Central Standard Time with myself, Blood Boxing, KQKC Boxing, Trap House Boxing, and the historian Curtis Anderson. Also, thank you so much to the members of the Patreon community. Look, man, Shawn Porter wants this fight. If Kenny Porter says, look, man, we can make this fight happen, Bob. Kenny Porter is the father of and the manager of Shawn Porter. Shawn Porter is in the welterweight division. He is the former IBF champion. He's the former WBC champion. And he would be, without a doubt, the best competition that Terence Crawford has fought in his career. There was talk about Terence Crawford saying that he wasn't going to fight Shawn Porter unless they got together and they agreed or something like that. It's his friend and he didn't want to fight him. That kind of stuff, right? Which to me is meaningless. This is boxing. They're not brothers. This is not the Klitschko brothers saying that they don't want to fight each other. This is not the Durrell brothers saying that they don't want to fight each other. Okay? It's not the Ali brothers saying that they're not going to fight each other. These are not guys that are actually related. There's no reason that these guys can't fight one another. And most importantly, for the sake of Terence Crawford, this is a fight that should take place. Terence Crawford is about to fight just in 2 weeks. Aegis Kalvanakis, who is his mandatory. And I don't really have an issue with him fighting his mandatory, okay? Everybody has mandatories. Errol Spence Jr. fought Carlos Ocampo. That was his mandatory. That's a good thing, okay? I do believe Lomachenko fought Anthony Corrala, who was a mandatory. Hey, man, it's a mandatory. Corrala, however these guys come up with their stuff, these sanctioning bodies, he deserved a shot. He worked to get his shot, or however he got that shot. He got that. He earned the right to be fought. Boom, to get that fight. Lomachenko fought him, dusted him off. Cool. No problem with Lomachenko defending his mandatories. All right. Same thing for Terence Crawford. I have no problem with Aegis Kalvanakis because I knew that this is his mandatory. I also knew pretty much from the time, now this is a little bit of a sad thing. I also knew pretty much from the time that Terence Crawford won the WBO belt against Jeff Horn that he would be fighting Aegis Kalvanakis to defend that belt as a mandatory. I said it about a year and a half ago. Now, why did I say that? Because it's a top-ranked fighter. Aegis Kalvanakis is a top-ranked fighter. The WBO is pretty much the name whatever Bob orders. So you know that just like what happened before with Jeff Horn won the WBO belt, and who gets named as a mandatory? A top-ranked fighter. So Terence Crawford wins the WBO belt. Who is his first mandatory? A top-ranked fighter. That welterweight belt for the WBO has passed through four straight top-ranked fighters. Manny Pacquiao to Jeff Horn to Terence Crawford, right? And now you are 3 straight matchroom fighters, and there's a mandatory now for Aegis Kalvanakis. And if something happened to Terence Crawford, some other welterweight from the top rank is going to take that belt. That's what that belt's about. So the reason that I bring that up is that there is a certain degree of illegitimacy around that belt, around that championship, because everybody knows that Bud has not fought any of the top welterweights to win it. He has not fought any of the top welterweights to keep it. And to sound even a little bit resistant of fighting Shawn Porter for it was really funny business. But see, something happened very, very unfortunate that really pulled the rug from underneath Terence Crawford and Bob Arum and Bo Mack and all these guys talking about Terence Crawford's reign as a welterweight. And that was the very unfortunate accident that took place. Very unfortunate accident that took place with Errol Spence Jr. Errol Spence Jr. got in a car accident. Errol Spence Jr. is supposed to be coming back in spring or whenever he's coming back. I'm not sure when that is, but more than likely, he's not even going to be fighting Danny Garcia. He's going to have to go through a training camp, get himself situated, fight somebody, probably somebody he's going to dust off real easy because he deserves it, right? He had tough fights. He had high level fights back to back. He's now injured. He's going to have to recover. Then they're going to be able to give him somebody decent to fight, somebody he can get over. And then from there, he'll probably fight Danny Garcia, right? So now, because of this accident, Terence Crawford versus Errol Spence Jr. is off the plate at least till 2020. At least till 2021, maybe 2022. So now what is Terence Crawford going to do? In the lead up to, as far as promoting his fight and being able to avoid and counter the argument that he ain't fought nobody. Now, at the beginning of almost every video that I do against Terence, with Terence Crawford, I readily say that I think this guy is the pound for pound number one guy in boxing. I love this guy's skill set. I love his competitive nature. I think he's from everything I can see, he's a very disciplined person in the ring. Right? Never met him outside the ring. Hey man, he ain't he ain't the best salesman in the world, but it is what it is. The guy's a great fighter, right? Unified all of 140 pounds, won a belt at 135 pounds. Clearly the dude's a top-notch fighter. But the truth of the matter is he ain't fought nobody at 147 pounds, and you can't just talk skill set forever in a day and never have the guy actually go and fight somebody at the weight class that he's in. So with Errol Spence Jr. out of the picture for the time being, what are they going to do as far as selling Terence Crawford? Before, when it was Errol Spence Jr., before Errol Spence Jr.'s accident, the talk was, Terence Crawford doesn't need to fight anybody other than Errol Spence. We know that's the number one and the number two welterweight. So Terence Crawford needs to fight him. We don't want to hear anything else about any of these other guys. Terence Crawford. Errol Spence is ducking Terence Crawford, and that's the marketing angle that they could use to talk about Terence Crawford. You could do YouTube videos about Errol Spence and Terence Crawford on the lead up to the fight between Terence Crawford and Amir Khan, or Terence Crawford and Jose Benavidez, right? But you can't do it for Egis Kalvanakis, and you're not going to be able to do it going forward. So unless they actually get this guy a fight with somebody that's a live body that people are interested in, as far as that pound for pound conversation goes and marketability goes and all that, it's going to just go down. His career, as far as his popularity, his name, all that, dude, it peaked. From what I could see, it peaked at Julius Ndungo. He's not had a fight of major interest since he unified all the belts at 140 against Julius Ndungo. I don't think at welterweight he's even had a Victor Postol or a Felix Diaz level fight at 147 pounds yet. So for him to say, I don't know about Shawn Porter, no, dude, you need Shawn Porter badly, in my opinion. And in talking to Terence Crawford fans, Bud Crawford needs Shawn Porter badly, more so than the other guys that Bob Arum is talking about having him fight. They're bringing up guys like, after the Kalvanakis fight, saying, maybe Jose Ramirez. Maybe, I don't believe they're going to feed him Jose Ramirez, but just say Jose Ramirez. Maybe Regis Prograis, Josh Taylor's really interested in it, very interested in it. Dude, those guys aren't going to do anything for Bud Crawford as far as the legitimacy of him being a champion in the welterweight division that Shawn Porter is going to do, that Shawn Porter will. Those guys are still unproven. The fact that Josh Taylor beat Regis Prograis in a very good fight was very entertaining and all, but none of those guys in that whole tournament had ever proved that they are top level fighters. None of those guys have multiple wins over or even multiple fights with top level fighters like Shawn Porter does. Shawn Porter has actually beaten Danny Garcia. Danny Garcia is a more distinguished name than Regis Prograis. Much respect to Regis Prograis or Josh Taylor or guys like Ivan Baranicek and Kylie Relic and Terry Flanagan, guys like that. I mean, I appreciate that those fights took place and we were able to get unification, get those the IBF and the WBA belts unified. I appreciate that, right? But maybe if those two fought Jose Benavidez, maybe if Jose Ramirez fought Josh Taylor and unified the whole thing, then maybe these guys would have the name and have the credibility of a Shawn Porter. And even there, I say maybe, because they've still not been in the ring with guys like you. You still don't know for sure what these guys can do when they get in with an Errol Spence. Errol Spence Jr. is one of the top welterweights for sure. And look what Shawn Porter was able to do and handle himself with all kind of different styles. So anyway, I certainly hope that these guys do go through with this fight and set this fight up with Shawn Porter and Terence Crawford. It would only be right because, man, right now, there's just so little press, so little heat out there in the streets for Terence Crawford. I feel like I'm the number one guy making videos about him, trying to push and call for these guys to fight somebody that will actually give him the status that he already deserves. You know the saying, you got to do twice as much to get half as far? Well, shoot, Bud, you got to do 4 times as much to get to where you deserve to be. You got to fly to get where other people can walk to. And I don't like that to be the case, but it is the case. So start flying. Fight Shawn Porter. It is what it is. And let me know what you think in the comment section. With that, I'm out.